There is this huge controversy with Lisa from BLACKPINK over her appearance at the Met Gala, and then we have photographers saying things that have been controversial towards Jennie, and then we have Jimin believed to be reported and attacked. Say Dumplings is Dave Desai. Let's get into it. So we are going to start with Jimin. Of course, if you're not interested because this is a predominantly BLACKPINK video, then make sure you skip ahead. Of course, there will be timestamps in the description and on screen too. But Jimin has recently been under controversy over a song he released called Who. He recently broke some sort of Spotify record with about 1.6 billion streams, so that's very impressive. And of course, that means a lot of people have listened to the song a lot of times. However, this record was controversial because any achievement in K-pop is controversial, given the fact that a lot of people from different K-pop communities prefer that their favorite artist have that achievement rather than another artist. So a lot of people who aren't fans of BTS would prefer that BTS not win specific achievements. And funny enough, when Jimin wins an achievement, it's not just that there are people outside of the community who hate that, but people within the BTS community hate it as well. And I do find that strange, but that's the nature of what's going on. But one of the reasons why this was controversial is because people mentioned the fact that the song had 1.6 billion views, but it's not a song that is widely heard everywhere or a song that a lot of people may know about. And these are the accusations that are being said. There are definitely some truths to that. Like obviously, I think if you were to ask people on the street whether or not they've heard this song, they might say no. But it also depends on where you're asking. So if you're asking 1.6 billion people in the US and maybe other parts of the world, because the US doesn't have that many people, then you might hear a bunch of people say that they don't know that song. But if you ask people maybe in Korea, there would be a lot more people who know. So it really does depend on where you ask. But also one of the reasons why this doesn't make sense is because people in general now, due to social media, live in their own echo chamber. So unless something is super big where it breaks into every single person's feed or TikTok or social media account, then not everyone's going to know about it. That doesn't mean that it's not popular, and that doesn't mean that it's not successful. People accusing the boys or the community of using bots to stream to get that number is also a little bit outrageous because this is Spotify, a legitimate website and company that is not unaware of bots and not unaware of fan culture in general. So they're aware that people do stuff like this all the time. And so they likely have a system in place to prevent fraudulent streams. And even if it's like 1,000 people streaming like hundreds of thousands of times, that would still be a real legitimate stream. However, I don't believe that it's actually 1,000 people. I believe it's maybe a couple million people that are streaming like a couple hundred times. And you can obviously hit 1.6 billion like that. But I mean, Jimin is also very popular and very loved. He has a very strong community that a lot of artists aspire to. And this is a good thing, not a negative thing. I hope to see more understanding when the boys come back from the military, and I hope to see more understanding in general within the communities when the boys and other K-pop stars start to do more things in the US and more mainstream things. For example, Lisa and Jennie and Rosa were recently invited to the Met Gala. Now, there's a lot of controversy as to why specific artists are invited, and sometimes other people believe that their favorite artists who might be more popular should be invited. But that's not how the Met Gala works. You can be invited individually, but you typically have to be really well known in fashion and in that space to have that invitation. Most artists and people who go, like the three girls that are invited, they are invited through brands. So that's why they often become ambassadors of LV or whatever it is, so that they can have the opportunity to attend the Met Gala, because LV will typically be invited to buy a table, which is usually like over $100,000. And in the table, they can include people that are their brand ambassadors or just staff. And I could be mistaken, but I don't think I am. I think all three of them were invited through a brand, versus someone like Kim Kardashian is invited personally. People are very excited to see our K-pop queens there. Of course, we're missing a Jisoo, but that's okay. We're still happy to see 3/4 of the members there. It seemed like it was super overwhelming as Jennie was standing there on the carpet, and she had a lot more people yelling her name versus I think what happened prior years. So she's definitely built more of a name for herself. And people were screaming at her to tell her to go over the shoulder, just yelling really funny things in my opinion. One person was even asking if they could get her number. And you're gonna have to get in line with that one. There was even a funny one where it seemed like one photographer was screaming right shoulder, telling Jennie to look right over her shoulder. And when Jennie did, you could hear a very loud thank you, which is hilarious. However, the nature of these photographers that are there are considered paparazzis or they're considered news reporters. Just them being there is very controversial. People are very upset about that. People hate photographers that yell at the talent or celebrity or even just say things like this, and it's seen as very controversial. And some photographers were getting backlash. Of course, other times they were getting really positive positive things that some people just thought were really funny and cute, as neither of these things are bad things. But maybe they could be considered harassment or catcalling. I don't know exactly what it is and what the thought process behind this is. Because people often say that paparazzis or photographers shouldn't be allowed in spaces like this because they believe that they could harass the celebrities. However, imagine a Met Gala without any reporters or photographers there. Do you honestly believe that these celebrities would dress the way that they dress if it wasn't for the fact that there are paparazzis, photographers, or press that are there? These outfits cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and sometimes more than that. Some people go to the Met Gala wearing jewelry pieces that are millions of dollars. You think that they're honestly going to be wearing that to an event if it wasn't for the fact that there are huge news sites that are there and that the event is being televised. I can guarantee you most of them probably wouldn't even go if it wasn't for those things. A lot of celebrities just go to do the red carpet and then they don't even stay for the actual gala, because going to the red carpet, especially one that big, can really change your life. I mean, look at how much coverage comes out the next day after the Met Gala. They go from pretty famous to a household name overnight, especially if they really slay the look. One look that was very much talked about was Lisa's. She wore this gorgeous updo that I don't think I've ever seen her wear before. That is absolutely stunning. She had a kind of lacy blazer and what people believed was bikini bottoms or underwear. And then of course stockings, and she looked absolutely stunning. She was on theme and it was just perfect. Now the bottoms were very controversial and I don't fully understand why they were controversial, as people were saying that they resembled Rosa Parks and the stitching was Rosa Parks' face all over the underwear, or all over the crotch area. And I guess I can understand the controversy with this because it appears as if she's wearing Black Icon's face as her underwear. And people were saying that she was disrespecting Black culture. However, that is literally not the case, because if you simply look at the whole outfit, if it were to be taken apart, you'll see it's not underwear, but a full body piece, so like a leotard. And the whole leotard is stitched with the alleged Rosa Parks face. Personally, the stitching doesn't even really look like Rosa Parks in my opinion, but people believe it is. So it's just an outfit that is stitched entirely with faces, not just the underwear part. However, she never opened the blazer, so people didn't actually get to see that, because that definitely changes things, right? Because it's not just underwear. Now, other people were saying that she should get banned from the Met Gala, never go again, or that she might get banned due to the backlash of this. This is entirely unlikely and would likely not happen at all. The process in which the Met Gala even happens is that the CEO of Vogue, Anna Wintour, has to approve all of the looks before it goes on the red carpet. She approves literally every single piece. So when you see people go to the red carpet with a shirt, or you see people go on the carpet with a look that you don't like, know that that look was actually approved to be on theme. We just might not understand what that theme of that outfit is. But they are simply not allowed to show up unless the look is approved, meaning that this look that everyone thinks is controversial had actually been approved. Anna thought it would be totally okay to wear. So the blame, if the look was controversial, would fall a little bit on her as well as fall on the brand. Going back a little bit, do you remember when I said that the brands typically invite the stars to go unless the stars themselves can secure a personal invite? Meaning Lisa likely had very little control over what she could wear. That is simply up to the brand, and the brand decided the actual look because they're trying to promote something. She could decide to argue and fight back, but if this is her first Met Gala in general, does she really want to push the envelope there and try to argue with these brands and potentially face not getting an invite from the brands again? Because the brands can pick someone else as the ambassador. That's how the industry works. The industry is very competitive, and no matter how big or how famous they themselves would probably feel anxious about not getting that opportunity themselves, even if they were super big. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thank you to this lovely comment right here. Love you, bye.